nutted the goalkeeper. It wasn't. It was obvious. It took 12 seconds to realize, but it ended up being a minute and a half where the referee had to go over, come back. It's just to me it creates so much confusion.
I mean, Steve, my counterpoint to that is going to be that it's new for everybody. Right?
Sure, no, I definitely.
Tweeted from my account yesterday that that offside should have been reviewed, and then I realized, offsides can't. Every single party, reporter, referee, player, coach, fourth official, VAR official, everyone is still working out the kinks with this. And I mean, I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not going away. I don't think that there's any way that FIFA invests this much money and time into finding the best practice for VAR, and after a year says, well, I guess that's not going to be it, so we're going to cut it.
No way.
It's here to stay. You have two choices at this point. Yes, the timing kind of sucks. I don't watch MLB on TV anymore, but I guess they do have instant replay.
Oh, yeah.
That I mean, like my grandfather hates it. You would expect that because he grew up and he'll be like, in the day I was watching Harmon Killebrew hit home runs, and then suddenly they're stopping the game to watch a screen. And yeah, it sucks, but that's just the landscape right now. And again, if FIFA has invested this money, if MLS has wanted to be at the forefront of this movement to incorporate VAR, it is not going anywhere. I think that the amount of time that's used for each of these, it's going to shrink, right? I mean, it's just like when the back pass rule was killed. Eventually the game sped back up, and it wasn't Rep 1 anymore all the way. And that was 20, 25 years ago. So it's just a matter of time. It's going to be clumsy for the rest of this year. It's going to be particularly clumsy for the 2018 World Cup if it's involved with that tournament. And after that, I think that referees will be used to it, just like every other rule change that's happened.
I like it. I mean, VAR, it's like you said, it's kind of just, I think it's just necessary at this point for soccer to implement with all the technology that we've had as of late. I mean, the timing, like you said, it's going to fix up once they get more reps in and whatnot. But like you said, I think it's just a great way to, take the pressure off the referees and, use technology that we have available to our advantage.
See, I'm with you, Armin. Again, it's take the pressure off the referee. It's you don't want them to be berated. A good referee doesn't have their name known by the public 24 hours.
Baldomero Toledo. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're spot on. Everyone knows Baldomero because there are questionable calls. Everyone knows Ted Uncle because he is very excited to point to the penalty spot. But a good referee is very forgettable over the course of a game. And if VAR helps that referee get out of scrutiny, so you're not seeing what happened with Ted Uncle in Orlando 2 months ago.
Oh gosh, that was bad.
That's all better. Yeah.
Well, Jeff, is there a limit at VAR? Would you go? I mean, do you like how much they're reviewing now?
I like it now. Yeah, I think I like it now. I think I like that it's only 3-4 types of calls that you can call back. I don't think you want to have a 50-50 ball ever be under scrutiny. I don't think you need to have every was that offside or not under scrutiny either. So yeah, I think I'm fine where it is for now. That said, of course it's going to change, and of course they're going to increase it because that's just how rule changes like this go. You start in a small dose and you build it up until your tolerance increases. But I think with where it is for right now, I can stomach it. Part of it is that I've seen the videos that the league has put out, that Howard Webb has put out. I was in Chicago and they did tutorials over it, so I feel like I at least have a baseline understanding of it, but they're going to change it. And I don't blame them for it, but it's just going to be another practice of getting used to it and figuring out, is this a call worth reviewing, or is this a part of the game that, while yes, it's 50-50 to some extent and it's a gray area, let's just leave it alone. So I'm still figure that process out.
It's definitely going to be a process, and it's interesting that Major League Soccer is one of the leagues that first implemented
first professional league to implement it.
And I think it's good for the league. Like, I think it does make a statement like FIFA, hey, look at us, investing all this money into the system. MLS is like, yeah, we'll be the first ones. It's gonna, people in Europe will be talking about the system based here in Major League Soccer.
It's an advantage of being a younger league.
Yeah.
True. I will say, though, at his pregame press conference, Commissioner Garber was asked about why step to the forefront on VAR. And his answer led off with, we wanted to be first, which at the outset sounds cool. But that wasn't, we think it's a necessary technology, and so we wanted to implement it as soon as possible for the quality of the game. It was, we just want to be the first league. And I think that that's a bit of a gray area that does seem a little like dangerous. Jump on the bandwagon, you know? But I do agree with both of you guys. I think it is something where, like it or not, it's necessary. It was going to happen at some point, and if at some point it gets us being the United States, being Canada, at the forefront, all the better.
Yeah. Speaking of MLS and VAR, you were actually at the Minnesota United game last night,
right.
Taking on Seattle and got, let's say, shelled, lack of a better term. Minnesota United got shelled. But what's it like, you know, for an expansion club? How is the atmosphere? What are the fans? What's the city?
I mean, we're not used to an expansion club.
Nope.
I mean,
we're based here in Dallas, so we've had FC Dallas from the beginning.
Yep.
We got our own problems with it. But what's the word on the street out there or up there?
Yeah, well, good for you guys. I mean, I did actually go to the Dallas-Minnesota game down there, so maybe next year if I make that
You didn't
trip.
say hi to me. I mean, I'm kind of upset.
Yeah, rain check. It's, you know, guys, it's interesting. It really is. I think there are still some growing pains. There is, for 3 straight games now, Minnesota United has drawn over 20,000 fans, and I think that's a
lot
good
better
number.
down here.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you look at the attendance figures from the Saturday fixtures across Major League Soccer, Minnesota actually had the highest attendance of any of the games. Granted, the 3 games today are Portland, New York, and I'm trying to remember the third market, but it's a marquee game. Of course, the game will be played by the time this is released. But the Sunday slate was the big ticket. But the Saturday games, Minnesota United not just held their own, but they actually set the pace. So attendance-wise, they're doing well. I think that there were some questions about the marketing strategy that they had, whether or not they were targeting the right crowds, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think that there's a rabid interest from fans in Minnesota. You know, I'm up in the press box every week, and so I'm able to see the crowd, see how big the supporter section, the Dark Clouds, True North Elite, Mill City Ultras are throughout the week, and it's growing every single week. You're seeing people who I'm sure are sitting on the sidelines and look over at a very active supporter section that every game is chanting and dancing for 90 minutes, and they say, I want to be a part of that, and so they join. The on-field product.
Oh my gosh, that beginning!
It's been not the best, to say.
I would argue it's
nice.
Worse than the off-field product, which is not a hot take in any way.
So it's like reverse FC Dallas.
Right, it's the anti-FC Dallas, right? FC Dallas is probably the most complete. They're one of the 3 best teams in Major League Soccer. I'd say FC Dallas is. It's still Toronto and Seattle until I see them truly falter. I'm going to put them. You think
Seattle's the second best?
I think they're in the top 3, 100%.
What about Chicago?
Well, no, Chicago's not there. Here's my interesting litmus test. I am Major League Soccer's Minnesota correspondent, right?
Sure.
So I am able to see Minnesota play against a lot of these teams that are kind of in the playoff zone, especially in the Western Conference, because every Western Conference team does a home and home against every other one, right? So it's really easy to gauge. Minnesota is a team that if their opponent doesn't have a precise game plan that they're able to execute to 100% efficiency, Minnesota can actually capitalize. They're a sneaky, difficult team. They're the kind of team that you see on your schedule as a trap game, right? Where you look at the outset of Minnesota and say, okay, that should be an easy win. Like they should win 4-0 or 3-0 or whatever. But if you're getting complacent, if you're subbing out 2, 3, 4 of your regulars, or if your regulars are taking kind of a mental vacation, Minnesota will pounce because they're a quick team, and the spine of their team, especially when Christian Ramirez is healthy, is potent. But you look at Seattle, who came in yesterday. They were efficient, they were ruthless, they were playing with a high press, they were able to spring on the counterattack, and they had a back 6, if you include Svensson and Roldan, who were just anchored and were able to keep a very pacey Minnesota attack at bay. Stephen Fry made a couple of brilliant saves, and it was probably the most complete performance I've seen from an opponent who's come into Minnesota all season. Wow. That includes Atlanta. that includes some of these other teams that came in and absolutely like wiped the floor with the Loons. But I think that what Seattle did yesterday was one of the most clinical. If I were looking at a young player who wanted to transition to be a coach and was saying, okay, how do I coach in Major League Soccer? I would show them what Brian Schmetzer drew up for Seattle. Because
high praise here.
Incredible game plan. I really do. So I'm saying that I think at the beginning of the season I predicted Toronto would get the Supporter Shield, FC Dallas would get MLS Cup, and I'm going to stick to that because right now it doesn't look too bad.
Great minds think alike. I have the same prediction too.
There you go, Armin. Yeah, I mean, it's just the East, Chicago, as you alluded to, they're strong. But if David Accam is going to be forced out over the next few days, then they actually might be better off than if he stays, because I think you're going to get a really pouty winger who's too talented to bench. I think Nikolic is the real deal. I don't see him slowing down too much. The Schweinsteiger, McCarty, Juninho midfield is strong, but it's just the back line, right? I mean, Koppel has been playing well. Polster has been playing well, but Polster is naturally a 6 playing as a right back right now. How long can he keep that up? So I don't think Chicago will challenge Toronto. I think it's really Toronto versus the winner of Seattle FC Dallas.
Huh.
That'll be a fun series, to be honest.
Sure, it'd be great. Seattle and Dallas have history too.
Oh yeah.
So it's. But we want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Hey, anytime. And I will say congratulations. This is what, your 4th, 5th episode?
4.
Yeah, congratulations. The hardest part of a podcast is launching it. You guys have a good format. You have a strong ability of banter. Keep it going, and I'm here anytime that you need me.
Appreciate it. But we want to ask you if you want to put out your Twitter handle.
Shameless plug
here.
The shameless plug, sure. You can find me at Twitter at Jeff Rueter, JeffRueter.
Awesome. Thank
Please
you.
Please give him a follow, and thank you so much for joining us.
And we'll talk soon. I'm sure we will.
All right. Sounds good. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
What a great guest.
We had Charles on last week, and he was great too. But he was in.
Give props to Charles. He was in a cab going to the airport. Come on.
He told the cab to shut up and turn down the music. And we cropped that out because it wasn't necessary.
It was pretty funny though.
It was pretty funny because it was just an awkward pose. He's like, I'm on the phone. Can you turn that down, please? Thank you. And then he just goes right on Chicago Fire, blah, 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 blah. But Charles is a great guest. But this Jeff, man, let me tell you, he had something in the background. He's probably drinking like a nice glass of whiskey, talking some Major League Soccer. Maybe I'm not whiskey.
I'm telling you, all these MLS writers, a lot of them are good. I mean, they're all great guys as well.
Well, because I think they're covering a 5th league here in America. And my problem, since I've been writing for this digital magazine, and it's been great, but it's a lot of baseball, football, basketball, and that stuff gets boring.
Soccer's interesting.
Soccer to me is interesting because it's so much more cultural, political,
especially in the growing league of MLS. There's so much issues going on, and we're actually about to talk about one right now.
Yes, what is it, Armand?
Everyone's favorite topic. Don't shoot the messenger, but promotion relegations in the news once again.
And we actually held off on this for a couple of shows because we were just waiting for the right moment to talk about it.
And then it came.
$4 billion TV rights deal
that MLS couldn't negotiate.
Could not negotiate, but showed up on the front door from NP Silva, quadrupling the broadcast rights fee, which would start in 2023 until 2032.
But is that the biggest news regarding promotion relegation?
Wait, that TV rights deal had to implement promotion relegation, but that was quickly shot down because MLS had no rights to talk to them about it. So it was worthless having the conversation.
It was just like a conversation starter. Like, promotion relegation.
Yeah, it was a conversation starter, but we didn't want to go down that road because everybody else was covering.
But it kind of set the tone for what happened this past week with the lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer
Yes.
Federation.
Miami FC from the NAS